My stepmom demands I babysit her 3 kids for free, but when I refused and started buying my own food, my dad chose her side, and now I live like a stranger in my own home. I'm 16 years old, work part-time at a coffee shop, and honestly, I need to get this story off my chest because I feel like I'm going to explode if I don't let it out. Basically, my stepmom Rachel thinks I'm the free babysitter for her kids, and my dad, well, he just lets it all happen. The thing is, I've been taking care of my own stuff for years, since I was 12. And now suddenly I'm supposed to be responsible for 3 kids who aren't even mine. It's crazy. Seriously. Let me start from the beginning, because it makes sense that way. When I was 12 years old, my mom got sick with cancer, and it was horrible. You know, seeing your mom like that. She tried to do normal things like always, but there came a point where she just couldn't. I remember one day I was in the kitchen trying to make myself lunch for school, and she looked so tired, like exhausted in a way I'd never seen before, and she said to me in that weak voice she had, "Honey, do you think you can make your own lunches from now on?" And I said yes, obviously, because what else was I going to tell her? So from that moment on, I started doing everything myself. At first it was super basic, like a ham and cheese sandwich, some chips, an apple, nothing elaborate. But I learned fast because I had no choice. You know what I mean? My dad at that time was like on autopilot. He wasn't mean or anything. It's just that he was so focused on taking care of my mom and working to pay all the medical bills that I basically became invisible. He'd leave early, come back late, and he spent weekends at the hospital with mom. I managed on my own with everything. School, food, laundry, everything. I got used to that routine quickly because there really wasn't another option. Mom passed away when I was like 13, almost 14. It was devastating, obviously, but in a way I had already started getting used to doing things on my own. So, life went on, I guess. My dad buried himself in work even more after that. I think it was his way of dealing with everything. I don't know. I kept making my lunches, making my dinner sometimes, basically living my life. We'd cross paths in the house. He'd ask me how school was. I'd say fine, and that was it. It wasn't the closest relationship in the world, but it worked. Or so I thought. Like 2 years after mom died, my dad met Rachel. I don't remember exactly how they met. I think she was a friend of someone from work or something. At first, everything seemed normal. I mean, she'd come to the house sometimes. They'd go out to dinner. The usual stuff. I was fine with that, honestly. I didn't expect my dad to be alone forever, and Rachel seemed nice at first. She'd always ask me things. How was I doing in school? What did I like to do? That kind of conversation. I thought, well, this could work. What I didn't know at that time is that Rachel had 3 kids. Well, I did know, but I hadn't met the kids until things got more serious between her and my dad. She has twins, 2 boys who are now like 6 years old, and an 1-year-old daughter. When I finally met them, the boys were super hyperactive, screaming all the time, running around the whole house, that kind of energy little kids have. The daughter, the 1-year-old, was quieter but still needed a lot of attention. At that point, I was 15. And honestly, I wasn't very excited about the whole situation, but I wasn't going to complain either, because, well, it wasn't my decision. My dad and Rachel got married like a year and a half ago, something like that. It was a small wedding, nothing elaborate, and then Rachel and her kids officially moved into our house. And that's when everything started to change. But not immediately, it was gradual. At first, Rachel did things for her kids. She'd make them breakfast, pack their school lunches, everything normal. I continued with my usual routine, waking up, making my lunch, going to school, coming back, doing my homework, working at the coffee shop 3 days a week. It was my life, and it worked. Well, but like a year into the marriage, Rachel started with weird comments. One day I was in the kitchen making my lunch. I think it was a Tuesday morning, and she came in with the twins and said to me, "Hey, since you're already making your lunch, could you make the boys' lunches too?" And I was like, "What?" Because she'd never asked me something like that before. I told her, no. I have to leave now or I'll miss the bus." And she made this disappointed face and said, "Well, I just thought you could help out a little more now that we're a family." And I didn't say anything else, just finished my sandwich and left. After that, she started asking me more often. Could you make lunches for the twins? Could you help my daughter with her homework while I make dinner? Could you watch the kids while I go to the grocery store? And every time I said no, because they're literally not my responsibility, you know what I mean? I have my own life, my school, my job, my stuff. I didn't ask to have 3 stepsibs who need constant attention. Rachel complained to my dad. Obviously. One day he called me to his room and said in that uncomfortable voice he uses when he doesn't want to deal with conflict, "Your stepmother feels like you're not contributing much to the family." I said, "Dad, I've been taking care of all my stuff since I was 12 years old. What else does she want me to do?" And he said, "She's just asking for a little help with the kids. It's not that much." And I kind of exploded. I told him, "No, what she's asking is for me to be her free babysitter, and that's not going to happen." He sighed and said, "Just think about it, okay?" And that was the whole conversation. Super helpful, as always. Rachel changed her strategy after that. She started with manipulation tactics, and they were obvious but still worked to make me feel bad. She'd tell her kids, "Oh, your stepsister is too busy to help us, so mom has to do everything alone." Or the twins would come directly to me, with those puppy dog faces, and say, "Can you make us a sandwich? We're hungry." And I had to tell them no, that their mom could make them one. And I felt horrible, but what else could I do? If I started giving in once, it was going to be forever. Things got worse when Rachel started leaving messes in the kitchen, on purpose, I think. Like, she'd leave all the dirty dishes in the sink right when I needed to use the kitchen to make my dinner. Or she wouldn't buy enough food and then say, "Oh, I thought you were going to share your food with the kids." It was all super passive-aggressive and was driving me crazy. One day I asked her directly, "Why don't you make food for your kids?" And she told me, "Because I'm busy taking care of the whole family while you only think about yourself." And I responded, "I didn't ask to be part of this. I was already here doing my stuff before you arrived." And she turned red and left the kitchen. After that fight, my dad talked to me again. This time he was more serious. He told me, "You need to start helping more with the kids and with household chores. Rachel is stressed and needs support." And I told him, "Dad, I work, I go to school, I take care of all my stuff. Literally, what else do you want?" And he said, "I just need you to make an effort. It's all I'm asking." And that's when I understood that he was never going to be on my side in this. He just wanted me to give in so Rachel would stop complaining. You know what I mean? He didn't care if it was fair or not. The conflict escalated when Rachel started expecting me to cook for the whole family. Not just lunches, but complete dinners. One Friday night, I got home from work, like at 7 p.m., and she was in the living room with the kids. Watching TV. The kitchen was empty. Nobody had cooked anything. I went and started making something for myself, like pasta with some sauce. Nothing elaborate. Rachel came in and said to me, "Are you going to make enough for everyone?" And I told her, "No, this is just for me." And she just stood there like waiting for me to change my mind, but I didn't. I served my pasta, went to my room, and left her there. I could hear the kids complaining that they were hungry, and Rachel sighing dramatically. The next day, my dad and Rachel asked me to sit down with them for a family conversation. It was basically an ambush. Both of them told me I needed to start contributing more. That part of being a family is helping each other, that the kids see me as their older sister and need my support. And I told them, "You guys don't understand. I didn't choose this. I already had my life organized before you guys arrived. And now you want me to change everything to take care of kids who aren't my responsibility." Rachel started crying, literally, and said I was selfish and didn't value everything she did for the family. And my dad just agreed with her, like always. After that conversation, I decided to take complete control of my situation. I started buying my own food with money from my job. I'd go to the grocery store after school, buy stuff just for me, label it with my name in the fridge, and cook only for myself. If Rachel or my dad wanted to complain, fine, but I wasn't going to depend on them for anything. It was weird at first, like feeling like a tenant in my own house, but it also gave me a sense of power, you know? Like nobody could control me if I was completely independent. Rachel couldn't believe it. She told me one day, "If you're not going to help with the kids, then you can't eat our food." And I told her, "Perfect. I don't need your food. I buy my own. I think she thought that was going to make me change my mind, but it only made me more determined. I started cooking things that smelled good on purpose, like chicken with potatoes or tacos, and the kids would smell the food from the living room and ask why they couldn't eat. And Rachel would tell them, because your sister is selfish and doesn't share. It was super toxic, but I wasn't going to give in. There was one night that was particularly bad. It was a Wednesday, I think, and I had made hamburgers for myself. The burgers smelled incredible because I had bought good meat and everything. The twins came into the kitchen and one of them said to me, "Can we have one?" He looked sad, and I felt horrible, but I told them, "You have to ask your mom if you can eat." They left, and I heard Rachel yelling at me from the living room. "If you have enough food to make elaborate hamburgers, you can share with your siblings." And I yelled back, "They're not my siblings, and this is my food that I bought with my money." My dad came in and told me to lower my voice, that the neighbors were going to hear. And I told him, "I don't give a damn what the neighbors hear. This is ridiculous." Rachel called me worthless that night. She told me, "You're a worthless, selfish person, and you're not part of this family if you're not going to act like part of it." And something in me just broke at that moment. I told her, "You know what? Perfect. I don't want to be part of your family if that means being your servant." And she said, "Then you're on your own. Don't expect anything from us." And I said, "I've never expected anything from you anyway." The next morning, Rachel gave me an ultimatum. She told me, "Tonight you're going to cook dinner for everyone, or you're completely on your own. No more Wi-Fi, no more nothing." And I told her, "I'm already on my own, so go ahead." My dad was standing there not saying anything, like always. He didn't defend me, didn't say a word. I think that was the moment I realized I had really lost my dad. I mean, the dad I knew before my mom died no longer existed. The next few days were super tense. Rachel gave me death stares every time she saw me. The kids started avoiding me because Rachel probably told them something about me. My dad just acted like nothing was happening, which somehow was worse than if he yelled at me. I continued with my routine, going to school, working, buying my food, cooking only for myself, locking myself in my room. It was like living with hostile roommates instead of family. On Friday of that week, there was another explosion. I was in the kitchen making dinner, like at 6 p.m., and Rachel came in with my dad. She told me, "We need to talk now." And I said, "I'm busy." And she literally turned off the stove where I was cooking and said, "This ends today. You're going to start contributing to this family or you're going to have to leave." And my dad said, "She's right. You can't keep living here without being part of the family." And I looked at both of them and told them, "You know what? I don't want to be part of this family if being part of it means being responsible for kids who aren't mine. If it means you guys can treat me like garbage and expect me to smile and take it." Rachel got hysterical. She started screaming that I was ungrateful, that they gave me a roof and food, that I didn't appreciate anything. And I yelled back at her, "I don't eat your food. I buy my own. I take care of everything myself. You guys don't give me anything except stress." My dad tried to calm me down, but I was beyond the point of calming down. I told him, "Dad, you abandoned me when Mom died. You left me alone to figure things out. And now you want me to take care of someone else's kids? No, that's not going to happen." Rachel said her final line that night. She told me, "If you're not going to be part of this family, then you're completely alone. Don't count on us for anything." And I told her, "Perfect. It's been that way for years anyway." And I went to my room and locked the door. Now I'm basically living like a tenant in the house where I grew up. I buy all my food, cook for myself, wash my own clothes, take care of everything. Rachel and I don't talk unless it's absolutely necessary. My dad tries to make conversation sometimes, but it's super awkward and I usually ignore him. The kids avoid me completely now. With that, I'd rather be alone than be treated like someone's unpaid servant. I have a year and a half left before I go to college. I mean, that's the plan. I've been saving every penny from my job so I can move out as soon as I turn 18. Sometimes I feel guilty, like when I see the twins and realize they're just kids and it's not their fault. But then I remember that I was just a kid too, when I had to learn to take care of myself, and nobody helped me then. It's not my job to fix Rachel's life or raise her kids. She's the mom, not me. The house is constantly tense now. It's like walking on eggshells all the time. But I stand firm because I know that if I give in even once, they're going to expect more and more until I'm basically a substitute mother for those kids. And I don't want that. I want to finish school, go to college, have my own life. I don't want to be trapped here, taking care of kids who aren't mine, while Rachel does, who knows what all day. Sometimes I think about my mom and what she would say about this whole situation. I think she'd be proud that I stand up for myself, but also sad that it came to this point. She always wanted me to be strong and independent, and I guess she succeeded, though probably not in the way she imagined. I miss her every day, especially in moments like these when I feel like I don't have anyone on my side. My dad asked me a few days ago if we could talk, but I told him I had nothing to say to him. He disappointed me in a way I don't know if I can forgive. He chose Rachel and her kids over me, his own daughter. And I understand it in a way. I mean, he's probably just trying to keep the peace in his marriage. But at what cost? Losing the relationship with his daughter? Apparently that's a price he's willing to pay. So here I am, 16 years old, living in my own house like I'm a stranger, counting the days until I can leave and never look back. And the craziest thing of all is that Rachel and my dad act like I'm the bad guy in this story, like I'm the one being unreasonable. But I'm just protecting my boundaries and refusing to be used. I don't think that makes me bad. I think that makes me smart. I learned a long time ago that if you don't take care of yourself, nobody else will.